Good evening, Mr. Romany Rye back again. Once I've exhausted this story and bring it right up to date, I'll be going back over and telling you little bits of stories and tales that happened. I'm just trying to guide you through now the main gist of what happened. Anyway, as I said, following on, my granny sold Tommy Ware the premises for £500. Now by this time, me and Jed was in the bungalow and she fell pregnant. So her mother said to me, Jed's mother, I hope you're going to do the right thing. I said, of course I'm going to do the right thing. Anyway, we got married. Both sides of the family was there. I'll put up a picture of that later on. So we got married and we moved into the bungalow. Still paying my granny rent, mine. And Sally Ann was living in the bungalow, in the other place with my granny. So I was still in close contact with my Aunt Edith, because she looked after me like a son. No two ways about that. And whenever you went to Aunt Edith's, there's always a fresh loaf of bread, bit of cheese, bacon and eggs, whatever you wanted, or whatever the rest had, you had. She was an angel to me. And I'll never forget her for that. Anyway, she said to me one day, Aunt Edith, Clarence, she said, my boy, do you think you could give my Brian a bit of work? Because I was giving him work on and off, like when I was out Charlie East and that. I said, yes, Aunt Edith, if I get something come up where I need help, I'll give him the work. Anyway, this auction come up down Penzance. It was the old steam laundry. So Harry, me and Uncle Harry was always looking in the papers for when the auctions was up. Anyway, we knew this auction was on. So Uncle Harry had a pickup and I had my IAB lorry. So he gets to the sale that morning. Gets there early. That's what we did. Anyway, this laundry was up a back street down Penzance. On a hill like that. So when we got there, Jimmy Crocker was there. Jimmy was a nice old boy. So Jimmy said, well, we don't want to be bidding against each other. No, he said, we won't be doing that. I said, well, how much do you want to stand out, Jim? We was only two scrap people there. Jimmy Crocker and me and Harry. He said, give me £100. So we give him £100. He had to stay there though, because auctioneer else would have known that someone was up. Anyway, we buys all what was in this laundry. There was big aluminium presses there for pressing whatever they pressed. Big drying ovens, mostly all metal. So there was one shed there that was not in the sale. It had on the door, not in sale. So we bought that much stuff. Jimmy stayed there right to the end. We said to Jimmy, Jim, how much do you want to carry a load home for us? Because he had his lorry there as well. Anyway, we done the deal. He loaded up. It was all alley. with a few iron bolts in it. So we bought it, and I brought it back. Couldn't drop nothing on the floor back in the yard because Tommy Ware wouldn't have it, so it had to stay on the lorry. So I was on the back of the lorry cleaning it. Anyway, first load, Jimmy had a load, we had a load. We brought it back, cleaned it up, and I had a brave old pile, about 3.5 tons of alley on there. Anyway, cast alley was all heavy gear. So Uncle Harry said to me, "We're going to need Annie much." He said to get all these motors out. I said, "I'll get Annie this Brian." All right, he said. Anyway, we get dinner this morning, and the main man is there, the man who had us sell it all up. So if there's a lock shed, you can bet your life I got to get in it. So we was there pulling these motors out, pulling them out to the door so I could pick them up with the IAB and put them on the back of my lorry. So the mush, he jowled, he went away. So I looked at Harry, Harry looked at me, we never had to say nothing. So we prized this door open and told Annie this Brian to stay around in front of the door. And if the mush come back and ask where we are, we can go on down to town to get a bit of dinner or whatever it was. And you haven't seen us, you haven't come back. So he gets in this shed, and in this shed is the original steam engine that run the lighting plant and run the pulleys over the top. There was a big round conveyor in there that had hooks on, and this steam engine run it. We gets in this shed and there's a steam engine. Now on the one side of the steam engine was all this heavy gauge copper pipe. Oh, there was underweights with there. Harry said, Doughty, what are we going to do? I said, let's we fake it up. Anyway, took a load of bags in. There was a lot of gunmetal valves there as well. We're bagging this stuff up, ready to take it out. Good job we never took it out. No, we never took it out. Anyway, back come the mush, didn't he? So he said to Brian, he said, who are you actually working for here? What you? He said, I'm here with my cousin Clarence Ware. He said, the chap that bought all this stuff. Oh, he said, I've been waiting to see him. He said, I've got a lot of stuff, more stuff put away I want a price on. He said, as soon as you see him in town, I'm looking for him. This takes some believing. Brian turned around, tap, tap, tap on the door that he was supposed to be keeping lookout. He said, Claire, there's a man out here want to see you. Oh my God almighty. Red-handed. In come the mush now. Lucky enough, we never took nothing out of the shed. He said, what are you doing in this shed? That was not in the sale, he said. I said, I know, sir. I said, but I also saw the exhaust pipe going out through the side of the building, and I knew there had to be an engineer. And I said, that's what I come in to look at, this beautiful, beautiful engine. Oh yeah, he said, she's a beauty. Yeah, she's a beauty. He said, how did you get in here? I said, just opened the door and walked in. He said it was all locked up. I said, there were no locks here when we come in. Anyway, we was lucky because we would have got loud. Now, I'm looking at Brian like daggers. He been a gin now. What he been a done? So he took off running. So I walks outside. Harry's there talking to the mush now. I said, that's all right, Bri. Keep running, because you ain't fucking riding in my lorry on the way home. Anyway, I had to coax him back. I said, come on, Bride, come back now, mush. We'll sort it out. Don't worry about it. It's done now. No, I ain't coming back. I said, come on. Anyway, he finally come back. But he nearly got us loud. So that was that job. We bought all the other stuff off the mush. But we was going to have it for Nixie, see? Anyway. Jeb was getting bigger and bigger. And she's nearly about ready to give birth. So Uncle Harry come to me, he said, I got a fucking job out pool. Big job, he said. I said, what is it? Demolition job. I said, well, I can't be too far away, mush. I said, you know what's happening, didn't you? Yeah, but let's go and look at it anyway. Goes out, looks at this job. Ferris old job. Taking down this building. But this building had all alley sheets. Double lined. Alley sheet on the outside, alley sheet on the inside. But millions of fucking rivets. Anyway. We were out there working. Suddenly, Jed's sister come in a taxi. You got to get right up to this hospital. By the time I got up there, my boy was born, Brian. I was the proudest man in England. Anyway, here's another tale. Now don't forget my father was called Brian Ware. When Uncle Harry had his second child, he was a boy, they called he Brian Ware. I didn't say a word, nothing to do with me. There wasn't too much between my boy and Harry's boy. When I come to tell him that I was going to call my boy Brian Michael, which was after his two grandfathers, there was fucking mutinies up about that. You can't have two Brians, and I said, I can have what I fucking want. It's my boy, and I'll have what I want. Anyway, that put a few noses out of joint, I can tell you. So all the time this was going on, really, it was more pressure and more pressure. So I could tell that my granny was suffering because of what she'd done. Now, you remember in the beginning of my story, I told you about Uncle Sam and Aunt Laura. I thought, fuck this. I'm going to have to go up and see Aunt Laura. I drives to Plymouth. Arranges to see Aunt Laura. Sits down in the cafe, buys her a bit of dinner. Now, Aunt Laura and Uncle Sam love my mother. No two ways about it. And Aunt Laura loved me. So she said, Clarence, my son, she said, what's going on in there? She said, because Annie, she used to call me Granny Annie, Annie's not right at all. I said, you know why, Aunt Laura, don't you? She said, no, I don't. So I told her the tale, what she done. She went like that, oh my God. Put her hands on her head like that. Whatever have she done? Now, come to find out, what was said was this. Mother, if he marries Jed and they break up, we're going to lose half this yard. So sell it to me and it'll be safe. That's what was said. Anyway, Aunt Laura found that out for me. So I kept in touch with Aunt Laura. Aunt Laura was very close to me. And I swear on the Holy Bible, I love that woman with all my heart. Because she loved my mother. No question about it. So she said, what I'm going to do, I'm going to find out more of what she done. And I'm going to tell her straight that she's done wrong. A couple of weeks went by. I had a phone call from Aunt Laura. You better wake him up and see me, Clarence. I said, all right, Aunt Laura. Up I goes. She said, you've noticed Annie, she said, your granny. I said, yeah. She said she's nearly wearing a hole in her back, where she's been rubbing her back. I said, she is, Aunt Laura. Yeah, she's walking around every second of the day rubbing her back. She said, I know it's not very nice, Clarence, she said, but she regrets what she done. I said, you do? Yes, she said. Very much so. But she can't change it. And she don't know what to do. Oh, I said, well, you know where that leaves me, Aunt Doris, don't you? She said, my son, I do. And it's all wrong. You was the oldest grandchild and went everywhere with Clarence as my grandfather. She said it should never have happened. Should never have happened. Anyway, I suppose a few months passed then, and I was writing letters to Aunt Laura. I got the letters here. Because at the time, Aunt Laura was having a little bit of trouble with one of her son-in-laws. And Aunt Laura found a very valuable book. And the fella commandeered the book, and I think he sold him for a fair bit of money. And I don't think he pestered her. But she wasn't happy about that. Anyway, I tried to support her in that as much as I could. So a few months went by, like I said, and my boy was born, and we was in the bed. Phone rang. I thought, what the fuck's that this time of night? Clarence, I was either Uncle Tony or Aunt Clarence. I don't know who it was. Clarence, you better get over here. Your granny's just died. I thought, fuck, now. Although I had all the trouble, you've got to realise I was reared with him. And in a lot of ways, I loved her. Because she was a good woman at heart. But she was very opinionated as well. But not right out with it. Sly opinions. Anyway, I went back in the bedroom because the phone was out in the kitchen. Told Jeb what had happened. By the time, hey, listen to this takes some fucking believing. By the time I got my clothes on and got over there, and when I say over there, I mean it was no more than 200 yards. All the drawers in the cupboards was open. So that's the first thing I did when I got there. I thought, what's that? Anyway, everybody was there upset. And went down into the kitchen because their bedroom was up the top end. I had to walk down a passage, down over some steps, down into the kitchen. And I noticed Tommy had a box. I thought, what the fuck's that? Anyway, come to find out, that was where the lover was. That's where all the jewellery was. Now, another crunch time. They come and took me granny away the next day and blah, blah, blah. Now, Tommy Ware decided he was going to lock the place up. So Harry, my Uncle Harry, wanted to get into the place. Tommy said, you're not going in there. Wouldn't these fucking places say that? So my Uncle Harry was going berserk outside. So I said, come on, which is no good. He was going to ring the garbers on and Uncle Harry was going to smash the windows out the place and all the rest of it. Going to burn it down and fuck knows what. Anyway, I said, come on, let's just leave it for now. Anyway, this was eating Uncle Harry up, which was eating me up. So anyway, had the funeral and one thing and another, and now Davis and Partners, Red Roof Solicitors. You've got to come over to your granny's for the will reading. Right. Now, in the will, and I see that I don't know how any of this ever was allowed to progress to where it was. In the will reading, no mention of the yard, nothing. Right. The fields around Etterbank now, she decided to leave to Tommy's two boys and me. The fields. And mention of the bungalow to me. Right. Solicitor gets up. He said that concludes the will reading. Now, bearing in mind, my father built that bungalow in that yard. It wasn't fucking hers to leave to me. It was already my father's. So that was another conscience job. Give him something to keep him quiet. But that shouldn't have been in the will because it was not theirs to give. My father built that bungalow and his fucking father gave it to him. So that shouldn't have been in no will. And the fields was nothing to do with anybody else other than my father and his father. They shouldn't have been in the will. So I saw no deeds for fuck all. And now that was done. Solicitor gets up. He said that concludes the reading of the will of Elizabeth Ann Ware. Now I got that fucking will in my scrapbook. So nobody can deny this one. Or even say I fabricated anything. Because the will's here. Right. Now. Come now. We're all sitting in the room, don't forget. Sitting around a table. Come now. to the boxes of jewellery and Vonger. Don't know who actually said it. This is what was said. Oh, Clarence, that's the will read now. I'm afraid to say you'll have to leave the room. Whatever was involved with your dad, unfortunately your dad's passed away, and that don't concern you now. What was left here? I said, all right, fair enough. So me and Jed got up and left. So they decided that they was going to divvy up all the gold, all the sovereigns, £5 pieces, £2 pieces. My father's silver candelabras was there, I don't know that day. Nixies for me. So you can imagine what that was like again, can you? There's no good for him to deny and kick up and say this, that and the other. That's the fucking way it was. Because it wasn't long before Sally Ann come over, offering me 2 sovereigns, one for me and one for me boy Brian. I chucked the fucking sovereigns back out. 2 sovereigns out of a table full of gold. And I'm talking about a table full. Anyway, that revved me up. I was like a raving fucking bull. So, nobody could have nothing in the house. Nothing. There was only one thing I wanted out of the house. And I got it now. But it took me 35 years to get the fucking thing. And that was a picture of my grandfather bought, because he was right into the fairground, of a steam engine, a showman's engine, that hung on the wall in the passageway. That's all I wanted. I didn't want fuck all else. Anyway, all my grandmother's stuff inside the house now had to be took to auction. By now I had a few quid. I didn't give a fuck anyway. So, I was trying to buy stuff in the auction and they was running me up. Anyway, I did end up paying too much for some of the stuff. It was all sold up. Money split up between them. No share for me. What was my father's rightful share? Nothing. And now things got worse. So now, I didn't have any access to my bungalow. Because I had to come across fucking Tommy Ware's yard to get to my bungalow. There was fucking mutinies all the time. You can't park there, you can't do this, you can't do that. So, I said, I'm not taking it. I gotta fight this. I went to solicitor after solicitor, and I spent a fortune. I spent most of my mother and father's gold fighting. Until I went to a solicitor in Plymouth, Wolverson's. Went there, gave him the file. He read it, went to see him. He said, it's going to take me a little bit longer. I'll ring you next week for an appointment. Right, sure enough, rung. Up me and Jed goes. He said, Clarence, I'm not going to charge you for this consultation. He said, and whoever has took money off you has been under false pretenses. I can clearly see your father was a partner in the business. You have the books to show that it was Your dad, his dad, and Tommy Bear. These ledgers show Brian, Tommy, and Dad. That was their expenses book. If they bought metal, put it in the book. At the end of the week, when they had a bit of a sell up, square up, what was left was divvied up. He said, I can clearly see your father was a partner in that business. He said, but you've been duped. That's the words he used. I said, what do you mean? I'm not going to charge you for the day, he said. I want you to take your files and folders with you, and I wish you luck. The property was sold to your uncle. There is nothing in the will for you to contest. So on the pretense of your father being a partner, other people have advised you that you've got a case, this, that, and the other. He said, but you haven't got no case. Because your grandmother sold that property to Thomas Ware a long time before she died. There is nothing for you to contest. I was devastated. I come back. I went into Davis and Partners. He wouldn't see me. He saw me because I kicked the fucking door in. Anyway, within 2 or 3 minutes, Gavers locked me up. Thought I was going to be done for assault and all the rest of it. Anyway, I said to you, you're a fucking bastard, mate. You're a family solicitor. I said, and you witnessed all this going on. I said, you've done it. Anyway, come out of there. I went down the road to Richardson and Murdoch, auctioneers, estate agents. I said, Keith Murdoch in? Yeah. I went in there. He put his head down like that and started rubbing. Clarence, he said, your father was a gentleman and a dear, dear friend of mine. Had I known what they were doing to you, I would have had no part in it. I'm very, very, very sorry. I did not know. I said, Keith, here's my hand. Shook my hand. I said, thank you very much for being honest. And that's the end of it. And that's what he said to me. I'm very, very sorry. Davis and Partners banned me from going in there. And Keith Murdoch, when he realised what had happened, he apologised. So that's the instalment for the night. So it's bye-bye for now from the Romany Rye. Take care.